Coming up, we'll show you how to connect a slicer to multiple pivot tables in Excel, and we'll also have a bonus for you at the end, so feel free to hang around. Okay, so as many of you know, a pivot table is a great way to create arrangements of your data, and pivot tables make large lists easier to read, interpret, and analyze. For the purpose of this video, we'll assume you already have a basic understanding of how to build them. Subsequently, when you add slicers to your pivot table, they allow you to filter data. The benefit of slicers is that they are very easy to use, and there's a lot of cool things you can do with them. Now, most people will typically build a pivot table, then add a slicer, and tend to stop there. But let's take this one step further and show you how to control multiple pivot tables with just one slicer. Okay, let's start by taking a quick peek at our data so you can understand how everything ties together in the end. For this example, we'll use this list of customer orders. Each line item is an individual order that was received, and the information they keep track of is the product category, the subcategory, the state, the geographic region the state falls into, the customer source, which means that's how they found us, the order date, the ship date, the shipping method, and then some numbers, like the expense for the order, the quantity sold, the price, the sales amount, the profit made, and so forth. Okay, so the first step is to build our pivot tables. So let's click inside our list, then go up and click where it says Insert, Pivot Table, and we'll add this to a new sheet. From here, let's drag our product category into the rows quadrant, and then we'll place our region in the columns quadrant, and finally our sales will go down here into the values quadrant. Next, we'll go back to our list and then create another pivot table. So let's do a quick rinse and repeat, and then put the second pivot table on the same sheet as the first one. All right, so for the second pivot table, let's say we want to see our expenses. So we'll drag our shipping method into this quadrant and drag the expenses down here into the values quadrant. And there we go. Next, let's go back and click on our original pivot table. And we want to make sure we are on the Pivot Table Analyze tab. And from that tab, let's go ahead and click on Insert Slicer. And let's say we go with our customer source. And as you can plainly see, when we click on the buttons on the slicer, Excel is showing us the filtered data for just the first pivot table, but not the second. Now, to connect the two pivot tables to the slicer, you just need to right-click on the slicer, then choose Report Connections, and then in this window, simply just check the box for the second pivot table. Click OK. Now, when we use the slicer, it will filter both of our pivot tables. And that's how it's done. All right, since you were kind enough to stick around so long, it's now time for the bonus. Excel also offers a timeline filter. The way it works is if you have dates in your data set, you can filter by various date ranges. For example, in our list, we have two dates, the order date and the ship date. So if we go up here and click on our timeline filter, we can choose the one we want to use. In this case, let's go with the order date. Now, just like the slicer, by default, the timeline filter is only connected to one pivot table. And we can change that by doing a right click on the timeline filter, then select Report Connections, make sure both boxes are checked. Now, if we use our timeline filter, you'll notice the data will change on both of our pivot tables. And that's how it works. Okay, and that'll do it. We sincerely hope you've liked this video. Please feel free to share it and leave your comments below, and we will see you in the next one.